Picture this. You walk into a room. You're dressed well. You're prepared. You've done nothing obviously wrong. And yet, something is off. People talk over you. Your ideas get ignored. Someone else says the exact same thing you said 5 minutes ago, and suddenly everyone nods like it's brilliant. You leave that interaction feeling invisible, dismissed. And the worst part? You have no idea why. Here's what nobody tells you. Disrespect rarely announces itself. It doesn't show up in dramatic moments. It doesn't come from one big mistake. It seeps in, quietly, consistently, through tiny behavioral patterns that you don't even realize you're running. And the brutal truth is this. Most people are doing at least 3 of these habits every single day. Not because they're weak, not because they're unlikable, but because nobody ever pointed them out. That's what this video is. Before we get into all 7, I want to tell you something important. Last week, we talked about 7 habits that make people respect you instantly. That video crossed 40,000 views, and hundreds of you came back saying the same thing. This changed how I show up. If you haven't watched it yet, the link is right there. Watch it after this. Because what we're doing today is the other side of that conversation. Respect is built through the right habits, but it's quietly destroyed through the wrong ones. And you cannot fix what you cannot see. So let's turn the light on. These 7 habits are small, subtle, socially invisible, until they're not. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at your own behavior, or anyone else's, the same way again. Stay until habit number 6. Because that one, most people defend it as a virtue. It's not. It's one of the fastest ways to make people stop taking you seriously, and almost nobody realizes they're doing it. Let's get into it. Let's clear something up right now, because if you get this wrong, nothing else in this video will land the way it should. Being disliked and being disrespected are not the same thing. Not even close. You can be disliked and still deeply respected. Think of the manager who makes hard calls. The friend who tells you the truth when you don't want to hear it. The colleague who holds their position in a disagreement instead of caving. People might not always enjoy being around them, but they respect them. They take them seriously. They don't dismiss them. And you can be completely likable, warm, funny, agreeable, easy to be around, and still be disrespected. Still be overlooked. Still be the person whose ideas get ignored, whose boundaries get crossed, whose time gets treated as if it's worth nothing. Here's the distinction social psychologists draw. Disrespect isn't about hostility. Most of the time, it's not even conscious. It's the quiet conclusion people reach about your value, based on behavioral patterns they observe over time. It's how someone decides, without ever saying it out loud, whether your words carry weight, whether your presence changes the energy of a room, whether you're someone to take seriously or someone to manage around. And here's the part that stings. The habits that trigger disrespect are almost always things people do in an attempt to be liked. Agreeing too quickly, over-explaining, apologizing constantly, laughing at the wrong moments, making themselves smaller so others feel more comfortable. The road to being disrespected is paved with people-pleasing. So if likability has been your strategy, this video is going to be uncomfortable and necessary, because the habits we're about to cover don't feel like problems. They feel like politeness, like humility, like being a good person. But under the surface, they're sending a very different message, one that quietly teaches the people around you how little to value you. Let's go through them. Habit number 1. Constantly apologizing for your existence. Notice how some people apologize before they've even done anything wrong. Sorry to bother you, but sorry, this might be a dumb question. Sorry, can I just say something quickly? They apologize for taking up space, for having a question, for existing in a conversation. And every single time they do it, something shifts in how the people around them perceive them. Not toward sympathy, toward dismissal. Here's the psychology. Excessive apologizing, what researchers call self-deprecating language, doesn't signal humility. It signals low self-worth. And people respond to it accordingly. When you constantly pre-apologize, you're essentially telling the room, I don't believe I deserve to be here. And people believe you. There's a difference between genuine accountability, apologizing when you've actually done something wrong, and reflexive apologizing, which is a nervous habit dressed up as politeness. Genuine apologies are powerful. They signal integrity. They require courage. Reflexive apologies are invisible tax you pay on your own credibility every single time. The fix isn't to become arrogant. It's to become precise. Say sorry when you mean it. When you've genuinely caused harm, missed a commitment, or made an error, own it completely. But stop apologizing for having an opinion, for asking a question, for being present in a conversation you were invited into. Replace sorry to bother you with quick question when you have a moment. Replace sorry, this might be wrong, but with here's how I see it. Same intention, completely different signal. The moment you stop apologizing for existing, people start treating your presence like it means something. Because it does. It always did. Habit number 2, talking more than you listen. Here's the paradox that trips up more intelligent people than almost anything else on this list. The more you talk, the less people respect what you say. Most people operate on the assumption that talking more demonstrates value. If I share more, contribute more, fill more of the silence, people will see how capable I am, how much I know, how much I care. But that's not how perception works. When someone dominates a conversation, the brain of everyone around them starts doing something automatic. It begins filtering them out. The more airtime someone takes, the less weight each individual word carries. It's neurological. Your brain is protecting itself from information overload by quietly downgrading the source. Respected people understand this intuitively. They let others speak. They ask questions instead of offering answers. They sit with silence instead of rushing to fill it. And when they do speak, the room leans in. There's a simple ratio that communication researchers have identified in high-trust, high-respect relationships. Listen 70% of the time. Speak 30. And when you speak, make it count. Now here's the objection people have. But won't people think I'm quiet? Reserved? That I don't have anything to contribute? No. They'll think every word you say was worth saying. In a world drowning in noise, the person who listens, fully, attentively, without mentally rehearsing their next sentence, becomes the rarest person in any room. And rare things are valuable. Stop performing in conversations. Start being present in them. That single shift will change how every person you talk to feels about you, and they'll never be able to fully explain why. They'll just know they want to talk to you again. Habit number 3, changing your opinion the moment someone pushes back. Watch what happens in a disagreement. Someone states an opinion. Another person challenges it. Not with new information, not with a compelling counterargument, just with confidence. Maybe a slightly raised eyebrow. Maybe a firm, I don't think that's right. And the first person? They immediately fold. Oh, yeah, you're probably right. I was just thinking out loud. Never mind. This is one of the most disrespect-generating habits a person can have. And it almost always comes from a good place, from a desire to avoid conflict, to keep the peace, to seem flexible and open-minded. But here's what people actually see when you fold under minimal pressure. They see that your opinions aren't really yours. They see that your positions are negotiable based on how uncomfortable someone makes you feel. And once they know that, consciously or not, they stop taking your perspective seriously because they know they don't need to. Social psychology has a term for this: opinion conformity under social pressure. Studies show that people who change their stated position simply because someone expressed displeasure, not because of new evidence, are consistently rated as lower in competence, lower in confidence, and lower in overall trustworthiness. Being open-minded means updating your views when presented with better information or stronger logic. That's intellectual integrity. That's admirable. But caving because someone looked at you wrong? That's not open-mindedness. That's people-pleasing with an intellectual costume on. The fix is a single phrase you can use immediately. I hear you. I still see it differently. No aggression. No defensiveness. Just quiet, grounded clarity. You've acknowledged them. You haven't abandoned yourself. Your opinions are your intellectual signature. The moment you stop signing them, people stop reading you. Habit number 4, oversharing too soon. Not everything that's true needs to be said, and not everything that's personal needs to be shared. There's a habit that some people have, and it comes entirely from a place of wanting to connect, where they share deeply personal information far too early and far too often. First conversations, work meetings, new relationships. They open up completely, immediately, with everything. And they wonder why people seem uncomfortable, why the dynamic shifts subtly, why they feel strangely exposed afterward, like they gave something away they can't get back. Here's the social psychology behind it. Trust, real trust, is built through progressive disclosure. You share a little. The other person reciprocates. You go a little deeper. They match you. Over time, through that mutual exchange, genuine connection is formed. When someone skips that process, when they jump straight to deep personal disclosure without the foundation being built, it doesn't feel like connection. It feels like pressure. Like the other person is now responsible for holding something they didn't ask to hold. And people respond to that feeling by creating distance. Oversharing also signals something about your relationship with your own internal world, that you haven't fully processed it, that you need external validation to feel okay. And while that's deeply human, it quietly shifts the dynamic from peer to dependent. The habit to build instead match the depth of disclosure to the depth of the relationship. Let trust develop at a pace that allows the other person to feel safe, not obligated. Connection built gradually is connection that lasts. Connection that's forced in the first 5 minutes? It makes people politely find a reason to walk away. Habit number 5, laughing nervously at everything. This one is subtle, and it's one of the most credibility-destroying habits on this entire list, because it's invisible to the person doing it. It shows up like this. Someone says something mildly uncomfortable. There's a beat of silence. And instead of sitting in that silence with composure, the nervous laugh appears. Huh, huh, even when nothing was funny. Even when something was actually serious. Even when the laughter makes no sense in context. Nervous laughter is an anxiety response. It's the body's way of diffusing tension it doesn't know how to hold. And it's completely understandable. But here's what it communicates to everyone around you. I don't know how to be present with discomfort, which translates, in social perception, as, I'm not fully in control of myself. And people subconsciously calibrate how much they respect you based on how much you appear to be in control of yourself. Research on nonverbal communication consistently shows that inappropriate laughter, laughter that doesn't match the emotional tone of the moment, significantly reduces perceived confidence and social intelligence. People can't always name why they trust someone less after this, but they feel it. The antidote is not to become serious or stiff. Genuine laughter is one of the most human and connecting things there is. The antidote is to let silence do what silence is supposed to do. When something is uncomfortable, sit in it. Breathe. Respond with composure instead of reflexive noise. Stillness under pressure is one of the most powerful signals of confidence a human being can send. Habit number 6, seeking validation disguised as humility. And here it is, the one I told you to wait for. Because this habit is the sneakiest on the entire list. It looks like humility. It sounds like self-awareness. And it earns a kind of social sympathy in the short term. But underneath it, it is quietly destroying your standing with every person who witnesses it. The habit is this, constantly fishing for reassurance while pretending you're being modest. It sounds like, I'm probably the worst person to be giving advice, but it sounds like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand this. It sounds like, do you think I did okay? Be honest, I can take it, said in a tone that makes it very clear you cannot take it. Here's what's actually happening. The person isn't being humble. They're outsourcing their self-esteem. They're asking the people around them to do the internal work, to provide the security, the reassurance, the confidence that they haven't yet built for themselves. And people feel this. They can't always name it, but they feel the weight of being constantly needed for emotional regulation that isn't their responsibility. And over time, they pull back. Not dramatically, just gradually, just enough. Psychologists call this externalized validation seeking, and it's consistently associated with lower perceived competence, lower perceived stability, and significantly reduced social trust over time. Real humility is quiet. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't come with a request attached. The shift is to build your validation infrastructure internally. Before you walk into a room, before you deliver an idea, before you make a decision, know why you believe in it. Not because someone else told you it was good, because you evaluated it honestly and stood behind it. When you stop needing people to tell you that you're okay, you become someone people genuinely believe is okay. That's not arrogance. That's self-respect. And it's the foundation every single habit on this list is built on. Habit number 7, being consistently unavailable to yourself. This is the one nobody talks about, because it doesn't look like a social habit. It doesn't happen in a conversation or a meeting or a room full of people. It happens in the quiet moments. And it shapes everything else. The habit is this, constantly outsourcing your inner world, never sitting alone with your thoughts, always reaching for the phone, the podcast, the next distraction, the moment silence appears, never asking yourself what you actually think, feel, want, or believe, always looking outward for answers that can only come from within. Why does this create disrespect? Because people who don't know themselves can't hold themselves. And people who can't hold themselves are unconsciously looking for others to do it for them. That shows up in every conversation, every decision, every moment of social pressure. The people who command respect in any room share one underlying quality. They know who they are. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough. Enough that they don't need the room to tell them. Enough that their presence feels grounded instead of seeking. Enough that when someone pushes back, they don't collapse. because they know what they're standing on. Building this habit looks like 10 minutes of silence every day. No input, no content, just you and the question, what do I actually think right now? It looks like journaling without an audience, like making decisions based on your own values rather than others' approval. The more you know yourself, the less you need from the room. And the less you need from the room, the more the room gives you. 7 habits. That's all this was. Not dramatic failures. Not obvious mistakes. 7 tiny, quiet behavioral patterns, each one almost invisible on its own, that together teach the people around you exactly how much to value you. And here's the thing I want you to sit with before you close this. Disrespect is not something people do to you. It's a conclusion they reach about you, based on the signals you send, every single day, through behaviors so small you've probably never examined them. Which means the opposite is also true. Respect is not something that happens to you. It's something you build, deliberately, consistently, one micro habit at a time. You've now watched both sides of this. Last video, we built the habits that earn respect. This video, we dismantled the ones that quietly destroy it. Together, they form a complete picture, not of who you're pretending to be, but of who you're genuinely becoming. If you haven't watched the respect video yet, it's linked right here. Watch it now. Because these 2 videos together will give you something most people spend years trying to figure out, and most never do. Subscribe if you want to keep going. Because we're just getting started. The identity shift isn't in one video. It's in the pattern. It's in showing up, watching, applying, and becoming, gradually, and then suddenly, someone who walks into rooms differently. That person is already in there. These habits just clear the way.